Hi guys, welcome back to another weekly episode on Stocks in Focus. And in this week episode, we're gonna talk about the current new thing that's happening in the news and social media. That would be, of course, Bitcoin. Maybe a bit on Dogecoin as well as Tesla. Because if you actually watch on the news recently, Tesla actually bought a total of 1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. So today's video here, we're going to talk about whether you should be investing into Bitcoin and what are some perspective and my personal opinion, okay, my analysis as well onto Bitcoin, whether right now is a good time to be buying into it and whether you should be investing it into the long run. Okay, so with that, I'm going to show you some charts, going to walk you through some thought process over here, and hopefully you'll be able to benefit from that as well. Right, so first off, of course, just wanted to show you the articles. You can find many of them. Okay, so over here you can see this is from CNBC. Tesla buys 1.5 billion in Bitcoin, and naturally, I think when everyone saw this news or when this news was released, I think a lot of retailers actually got in and purchased Bitcoin, and that pushes the price up. I think as of today, not right now, as I'm recording this, the price of Bitcoin is about 48,000. Okay, it actually went up, higher. Before that was like around 40,000. Of course, with this piece of article here, the bullish sentiment actually pushed Bitcoin to 48,000. Of course, this is all-time high, right? So the question naturally a lot of people would be probably asking is, should you be buying Bitcoin? Okay, and what's the future looks like? Okay, and I'll talk a little bit about Bitcoin as well as the relationship moving forward. How does this gonna affect like Tesla? If you're investing in Bitcoin plus Tesla, what do you need to take note of? Okay, and of course over here, I always reference to various thought leaders in the market as well, and one of them is actually Ray Dalio. Okay, of course, I won't look at Elon Musk tweet to actually invest, right? That's nuts. Okay, but I'm pretty sure some of you are making good profits just by reading off Elon Musk's tweet and then you go and buy into it. Okay, and these are just some of his recent tweets. He says that the future currency of Earth are probably referring to like crypto market. And he's somewhat a fan of Dogecoin as well, and you do see the price of Dogecoin rallying in the past few days. Okay, but at the same time, it's fun to watch. Personally, I don't take Elon Musk's tweet too serious. Okay, and I think one of the person perhaps you would like to reference a bit more is Ray Dalio. Okay, over here I'll drop you the link. I wouldn't of course go through this entire article here. This is pretty lengthy. Okay, I'll drop the link in the comments, in the description video below. And I would strongly suggest that you go and read it. Okay, this is as updated as 28th of January this year. And read it as an open mind and of course understand what Ray Dalio is talking about. Get another piece of opinion from someone like him to better understand like the whole thing about Bitcoin. Okay, but of course, over here, he did release a shorter version of it as well on LinkedIn. Okay, and it's common, right? Right now, because of the hype, because of the attention that the media is giving on Bitcoin, he actually did say here as well that some people would like to promote Bitcoin, okay, and utilize some potential power weight like Ray Dalio to influence your perspective into this topic, okay, and the conversation that they probably would like to have. So it's always important to cross-reference, right? And of course, this video here again is just me coming in to give you another insight. It's not a financial advice, okay? So you always would want to just take all this as additional source of information, and you would like to make your trading decision based on your own personal risk, your personal strategy, and of course your trade plan, right? So over here, I will also drop you this link. Okay, I think it's important that you read a little bit more into this before you make that final decision on whether you should be investing and buying into Bitcoin. Okay, now with that, I'll share with you my perspective and what I think you should be doing perhaps if you're interested into Bitcoin. Okay, now first off, I do track the futures market from a COT perspective, commitment of traders point of view. What does this tells me is basically in the market right now, what's the interest like in the futures market in relation to Bitcoin. what is the long position, what is the short position from a large speculator's perspective. So from there, I'll be able to see and understand, okay, are these traders interested in buying or selling, or is there no interest at all at Bitcoin futures? So over here, you can see this is actually the most recent data that I can extract out from the COT report. This is actually from 2nd of February. Okay, so the open interest, you can see over the weeks, okay, we have seen the drop in open interest. Perhaps with the recent news, maybe, we might see some interest coming back in. But as of now, based on the latest data, you can see that open interest has in fact dropped, right? Which means that these large speculators, they are exiting from the Bitcoin futures market. And if you take a look at the net position column over here, it's still in the negative territory, which means that overall there are more people holding on to sell position as compared to buy. Okay, so if you take a look at this, just based on this data here, I would say the large speculators are more interested in selling than holding on to buy. But of course, with today's spike towards 48,000, right, that might change the entire thing. But I'm sharing with you what I see as of based on the latest data that I can get. Right. Now, if you ask me, I would always reference back to this here, because if the large speculators are not coming in to buy Bitcoin, at least from a futures perspective, then there is a reason for them not doing it. Okay, for whatever reason it is, I might not know. Okay, but if the big boys, they are not interested coming into buying the Bitcoin futures, maybe they are not buying the futures, maybe they are buying the physical Bitcoin. Okay, I don't know, but the idea here is that if they are not interested in the futures market, then maybe you want to be a bit cautious as well. Alright, so that's something that you want to take note of. Now, if I go over to the technical chart, of course, then if you take a look at this is on a 4-hour time frame. We did break that previous high, which is around the 42,000. Okay, right now we are trading about 48. I think it went as close to 49,000. Okay, it's definitely one of the most volatile instrument that you can see right now in the financial market. Okay, it can easily swing like 20% up and down in a single day. So right now, from a technical point of view, what you're seeing is obviously an impulse push. Okay, because of the news, because of the sentiment, a lot of demand is coming in right now for Bitcoin. Naturally, that pushes price up. Okay, so from a technical point of view, I will always suggest to traders is that if you see an impulse push like that, you want to be patient. You do not want to jump in straight away on a chart at a high, right? The reason is because market does not move in one direction all the time, and whenever you get an impulse, at some point in time it stands to go sideways. It does do a correction, or it can do a reversal to the downside. Okay, so in either case, you wouldn't want to buy here, because the probability of it going higher versus coming sideways versus coming down, if you split that equally, that's about 33% for each scenario. Okay, and if you buy it here, okay, the only way you're gonna make money is if price continue rallying, and that's like 33% out of the remaining 66%. So that's not actually in your favor. Okay, instead what you want to do is perhaps to see if price were to do a correction like that, then that's your opportunity to jump onto Bitcoin if you are looking to buy and invest into it. Okay, what can happen, of course, this can also do a V-shaped reversal, and if that happens, then you want to be even more cautious, because that means that this can be a fake break, and the correction here can of course come down way deeper. Okay, so this is something you want to be aware of from a technical point of view as well. Okay, even with over here, you can see, right, this here, the market does not go up straight all the time. Okay, if you look at historical move, right, they always have a correction before the next move up. You have a correction before the next move up. You have a correction before the next move up. Okay, how far this can go, honestly, no one will know. Okay, and Ray Dalio did talk a bit about this as well, right? We know that there's a limited supply of Bitcoin. Okay, and everyone knows about this. Okay, but he did talk about while the supply of Bitcoin specifically is limited, when you take a look at the bigger, broader perspective, from a crypto scene, then the supply is actually not that limited, because what happens if there's a new coin coming out, right? What happens if Ethereum overtake Bitcoin in terms of the demand? Then naturally, if you're taking a look at the entire crypto market itself, you can produce new cryptos. Okay, then the supply essentially is like unlimited as well. Okay, and the whole idea that is pushing Bitcoin right now, if you're going to read the article on Ray Dalio, okay, you actually understand that it's really more like a collector's item. Yes, there might be a future to it, but at the same time, it's unknown, right? Because when the government steps in, it starts to give it some regulation and things like that. It's definitely going to affect the sentiment that it has on Bitcoin, right? So do take note of the risk involved as well when you are looking to trade this. Okay, while the upside looks attractive, it looks sexy to own Bitcoin, you do want to take note of the downside risk. Okay, so this is a little bit on that perspective. Okay, and if you take a look at what's my view, right? Especially if Tesla bought into Bitcoin. Okay, I would say that because of that correlation, okay, where now Tesla owns Bitcoin, then you want to also factor in, if your portfolio you are invested, or you have a position on Tesla at the same time you have a position on Bitcoin. These two positions are kind of like a little bit correlated in a way, because if Bitcoin comes down, okay, or perhaps the US government or the Federal Reserve suddenly put up a stricter regulation on Bitcoin or crypto market, and Bitcoin price starts to retrace or come back down, then that will have perhaps an effect onto Tesla stock prices as well. Okay, so you want to be aware of that, because if your portfolio you are invested in this too, you might want to consider your weightage on them. Okay, and if you take a look back at the Bitcoin price, right? Okay, while the chart looks like, okay, this is pretty small, okay, I want you to also factor in that magnitude of it, right? This correction here is 30% retracement. In other words, if today you have invested 10,000 into Bitcoin at this peak, okay, at one point of time you actually lost about 3,000, which is 30% of your portfolio, or whatever amount that you're invested in. Okay, so you need to be mentally prepared, okay, because if that happens, this is something that can also do, right, in the future, right? You can do a correction of 30% before you move back to the upside. So you want to ask yourself, are you mentally, psychologically, or even emotionally prepared to take that, okay? Or even your portfolio, right? Can your capital sustain that kind of correction or down move? Okay, so don't just look at the upside. So in this video here, I really want to present to you, yes, the upside might be very attractive, but at the same time, bringing your awareness to be aware of what is the downside risk as well. Right, so hope you actually pick up a thing or two and you enjoy this video here. Of course, the answer to should you be buying Bitcoin, if you ask me from a technical point of view, I don't think now you should be jumping in. I think from a technical point of view, there are definitely upside to it. Perhaps after a correction, it'll be more worthwhile to actually look into buying it. But if you ask me from a fundamental point of view, I don't think I see a clear future onto Bitcoin. Okay, whether there is a future or not, honestly, I don't know. Okay, even Ray Dalio, go and read his article again. He can't really tell you whether there's a future in it. Okay, because so many uncertainty hinges on what the government is likely gonna do. Okay, if the government steps in and say that they totally outright ban Bitcoin or even the crypto market, then the entire Bitcoin thing is just gonna become a collector's item. Okay, and when it becomes a collector item, there's really no true fundamental value in the economy. It becomes an interest point of view, right? It's like a piece of art. Okay, and then that totally changed the entire game. But again, if you're invested in this, you have an interest in it, one thing you definitely need to do is to constantly keep track of what's happening, keep yourself updated in the market, and I think that's the only way to move forward safely in a way. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have yet to like and subscribe to the channel, do that so that when I release the next video or any subsequent videos, you'll be the first one to be notified. Okay, if you are holding on to Bitcoin or you have any opinions or your analysis that you would love to share about Bitcoin, feel free to do that in the comments below, and then let's keep the chat going. Right, so with that, I'll see you guys in the next episode of Stocks in Focus.